As a wise man once said, the offense may score the points, but the defense wins championships. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll keep saying it. Survivor's a game, and in order to win, you have to win over your peers. But none of that really matters if you don't reach the end. Sure, you're gonna hear it a lot, especially from me. The social game is supreme, but the tactical game cannot go unnoticed. Internets, my name is Peridiam, and today I want to focus on players who have made defensive moves to keep themselves in contention. Dare I say, they tried to survive on Survivor. Not only have many players pulled off defensive moves to escape elimination for a single round, but as we're about to see, several of them have gone on to also win the game. Survivor is not just about leading the vote or the alliance or winning immunity or finding every advantage under the Fijian sun. And so let's just get right into it. Oh, and I guarantee you there are plenty more fantastic defensive moves out there that I won't be covering in this video, so if you can think of any, feel free to share in the comments and let me know. Now, I am not going to be talking too much about the hidden immunity idol and all of the myriad ways it's been played, but let it be known playing an idol on yourself or your ally is about the most basic defensive move you can get. And we have seen a lot of iconic idol plays throughout the show's history. It's one of the most defensive tools in a player's arsenal, and the only thing sadder than misplaying one is never playing it at all.
About that, Jeff.
I just want to say, when I told y'all I didn't have it then.
I think I'm gonna take the target off of my back. No, not this way.
You know what, Jeff? I think it would be downright depressing to sit and watch green bananas turn yellow without my debaucherous little villains.
Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? I'm saying this for Jack.
So I'm not including idol plays in this video because there's already so many videos covering them, but instead let's focus on defensive strategies that have emerged in the wake of the idol. One of the greatest defensive moves to counter the idol was in season 13, Cook Islands, when Cowboy dreamt a scheme that he himself called Plan Voodoo. Because the idol was amok and nobody knew who held it, Cowboy pitched for his alliance to defend against it by splitting their votes. Up until the idol's appearance on the show, splitting votes wasn't really a necessary strategy. Nothing could negate votes, the only thing that could complicate a vote was someone flipping on the plan. By splitting the vote, you're giving the odd vote more power, but Cowboy realized if they put half their votes on one target and half on the other, the idol would lose its power. If you have two targets, it can only protect one of the two. Unfortunately for Cowboy, he told this plan to Yule, who was holding the idol in secret, and so Yule blindsided him before Plan Voodoo could take effect.
It's how you can defeat the immunity idol. You can flush it out. And I woke up and I go, whoa, Plan Voodoo.
So Plan Voodoo would split our votes between Jonathan and Candace, forcing a 3-3 tied. And if Jonathan has the hidden immunity idol, it forces it to be played. And so that way you accomplish two goals. One, you get the hidden immunity idol out of Jonathan's hands. And two, you get one of those two people to go home. I think the plan is ingenious. I know that neither Jonathan or Candace have the hidden immunity idol because I have it.
In the following season, season 14 Fiji, we saw another great defensive strategy emerge that would send ripple effects through the show. I talked about this 5 years ago, and we're still seeing it to this day. The safe vote strategy is another counter to the idol, and really most advantages. Originally pitched by Aris in season 12, but truly put into effect in season 14 by Stacy, we saw Stacy's alliance go up against a counter alliance of 3 players who held an idol. Stacy's alliance didn't know which of the 3 players held the idol, and it was highly speculated that it was going to be played by either Alex or Mookie. Stacy's group kept waffling between putting their votes on Alex or Mookie, and because they didn't have the numbers or stability to split the vote, they had to go all in on one of them. And that's when Stacy had a bright idea. Forget Alex and Mookie. Put the votes on Edgardo, the third man who nobody was considering. Not even Alex or Mookie were thinking about giving Edgardo the idol. Edgardo became the safe vote. While the dominant alliance did not want him out first, they realized in this case, beggars can't be choosers, and they'd rather live to fight another day.
If we pull the immunity idol on Alex, we're safe anyway, so... I mean, the only way to keep Alex in the game right now is to just show the immunity idol. Show the immunity idol. Mookie give Alex the idol. Mookie gave it to Alex? This is an all or nothing move, but if it works out, it'll probably be one of the best moves ever.
If they think the vote is between Mookie and Alex, why don't we vote off Edgardo?
Gotta come out of nowhere.
Because they think we're doing Mookie or Alex, but if we hit him with Edgardo...
10th person voted out and the 4th member of our jury, Edgardo. Need to bring me your torch.
Let's take it one step further. As we saw on season 35, Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, a player cast a soul vote as a defensive maneuver to protect themselves in the event crap hit the fan. At the final 5, the dynamics were 4 versus 1. Chrissy, Ryan, Devin, and Mike against Ben. For the past 2 rounds, Ben had been on the bottom and had played an idol to protect himself. Going into the final 5 votes, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that Ben had another ace up his sleeve. The majority didn't think Ben had found an idol this time, so the plan was to put their votes on him, but the problem there is self-evident. If Ben plays an idol, the votes against him will be negated, his sole vote will then dictate who leaves. And if you think that sounds unlikely, we already saw him do that at the final 7 with Lauren when the vote was 6-1 and Ben negated all 6 votes. So, at the last minute, Devin's spidey senses were tingling and he changed his vote from Ben to Mike, the player he was least close with of the majority. Ben then played his idol and negated 3 votes. And what do you know? Ben's sole vote was on Devin. But because Devin voted for Mike, there was a tie between Devin and Mike, meaning Devin's 2 closest allies, Chrissy and Ryan, would vote Mike out. Ben still voted for Devin on the revote, making it 2-1, but this tiny defensive maneuver made the difference between Devin surviving another round and getting taken out. And then if we want to take it one step further, had there not been that newly introduced and hotly debated Final 4 fire-making twist, from all my research and postseason press, sources have led me to believe that Devin does in fact win against Chrissy and Ryan in front of that jury. Devin almost won because of that one little defensive move. Damn, what could have been?
I want to believe that there's no more idols. I mean, for Ben to find another one would be crazy, but maybe if I vote Mike, it's kind of providing me with a little safety net.
Jim.
This guy's insane.
Any votes cast for Ben will not count. Ben does not count. Ben does not count. Ben does not count. Dr. Mike, 1 vote Dr. Mike, 1 vote left. Devin.
Now your faith is in those 2.
Yeah, it is. 14th person voted out and the 7th member of our jury. Mike.
If I didn't write down Doc's name, I would be out of the game. I'm still sitting here alive, so I potentially did make a $1 million move right there.
Another one of my favorite moves was the 3-pronged defensive attack on season 37, David versus Goliath, when Davey, Nick, and Christian pulled off the minority split vote against the Goliath tribe at the final 12. This maneuver was a combination of the safe vote, not just dogpiling on Angelina, but voting for John, Plan Voodoo by splitting the vote between Angelina and John, and an effective defensive idol play where it was used to protect Christian. Defense after defense after defense. It was an ironclad fortress that attempted to work around 2 idols and a majority alliance, and it was pulled off to great success.
What?
I'm nervous, Jeff, but I'm more nervous for Christian. This is for him.
Okay. Want to take care of my alliance, too.
Oh my God, Dan, I love you.
I'm going to play this for Angelina.
David versus Goliath.
Christian does not count. 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 Christian does not count.
God.
Angelina.
Thank God.
Does not count. Angelina does not count. 9th person voted out and the 2nd member of our jury. John.
All the way from Orangeburg, South Carolina, Davey Rickenbacker takes down the mayor of Slantown. Let's go, baby! I got his jacket.
Lastly, when it comes to idols and advantages and playing around them, I want to mention in season 41 how both Shan and Ricard utilized their extra vote at the final 10, when the tribes were split into 2 groups of 5, to protect the both of them against any counter plans. If you don't remember this very well, Shan and Ricard were working together and were split into a tribe of 5 with Erica, Heather, and Nasir. Erica won immunity and couldn't be voted for, so the plan was to vote out Nasir. But the problem was that Nasir held an idol, and both Erica and Heather were working together as a duo, which meant a lot could go wrong if any one person flipped against Shannon Ricard. Because Shannon Ricard had an extra vote advantage, they held 3 votes between the two of them, and what we saw happen was they split their votes. Ricard voted for Nasir, Shan voted for Heather, and then used the extra vote to put a second vote on Nasir. They also somewhat trusted Nasir and knew his vote was likely going to be for Heather, but they worried that if Heather and Erica turned on them and, say, voted for Shan, and Shan and Ricard didn't split their 3 votes, instead putting all 3 of them on Nasir, and if Nasir had played his idol, which he should have, Shan and Ricard could have ended up in a situation where the vote outcome was 3 negated votes for Nasir, 2 votes for Shan and Ricard from Erica and Heather, and 1 vote for Heather, that being Nasir's. Meaning Nasir could have accidentally idled out one of his allies, who were also voting for him. What an absolute shit show. But this is the defense and the brilliance of what Shan and Ricard did. So Shan and Ricard split their 3 votes as a defensive move, as a precaution in the event that Erica and Heather flipped. This would force 3 votes on Heather, 1 on Nasir, and even if Heather and Erica did flip, it wouldn't have mattered. And ultimately it didn't matter, but it is a pretty confusing round of working through different scenarios to safeguard yourself to survive another day. Survivor has evolved a lot since season 1.
I mean, it's 3 votes on Heather.
Okay.
And if we need to, I have an extra vote I can put on her.
Okay. I have everything what I want for tonight. I'm like cool like cucumber no matter what situation is happening. Maybe I may change my mind and play the idol to save myself, just in case.
I was hoping that like maybe there's the chance to vote out Shan.
We need to make sure there's a Heather vote out there. And we need to make sure there's enough of them in case they do try anything sneaky.
So then we're all going to vote who?
Nasir.
Because I don't trust Heather and Eric.
I don't care. But can I have the extra vote to do this?
I just want to make sure it's not going to turn on me or Ricard.
Well, it might, but...
Speaking of season 1, can we quickly mention one of the most iconic defensive moves in the history of the show? Richard Hatch, the first sole survivor, stepped off the final 3 immunity challenge to protect his jury votes in the event that he was sitting in the final 2. Rich knows he likely loses to Rudy in front of the jury and also likely looks terrible to the jury if he wins that immunity and votes Rudy out, so what does he do? Whereas most players seek to win the final challenge to gain security and safety and make it to the final tribal council, Rich did the opposite. He threw it. He intentionally let go because he knew the only way that he would stand a chance at winning the game was against Kelly. And given Kelly was likely going to win the challenge anyway, he might as well play the odds. Rudy was taking him to the final 2 as well, so he knew his ticket was punched as a finalist. It was now just a matter of securing the most jury votes. And that involved Kelly voting out Rudy. Because if Rich wins the final challenge, he's likely a final 2 loser either way. But instead, he played defense, he made his mark, and he became the first sole survivor.
I wish you both luck.
Rich! Oh my gosh.
This game is about a lot of different things, and one of those things is mental strategy. And it doesn't mean I'm giving up $1 million necessarily. It's all a game of odds, and who knows what somebody's going to actually do.
I'm hoping that there is little likelihood of my being voted off. I think it's in Kelly's best interest to keep me here. I think it's the best decision I could have made.
Bluffing is another great defensive strategy to protect yourself. 2 great instances of bluffing come to mind, the first being a fake idol to deter votes. We've seen a ton of fake idols over the history of the show, but one of my favorites is from season 20, Heroes vs. Villains, and it's as simple as a rock in a pocket, a bulge in the pants. When Rupert stuck a rock where the sun don't shine and convinced the opposition to not vote for him because he might actually have an idol. Of course, Sandra had the idol and knew Rupert was bluffing, but still, it convinced the rest of them to change their votes.
Even though I don't have an idol, maybe I can play like I do. I stuck me a rock in my pocket, making it look a little dangly, a little big. This isn't my first game of Survivor.
I have a lot of experience with idols. Rupert has a big bulky thing in his pocket.
Oh, Melissa, I think everybody pretty much gave up.
He found it. I see it in his pocket. I know exactly how they look, and I know exactly how they look in a pocket.
Another great moment that played out over several episodes was Tony's bag of tricks on season 28, Cagayan, when he outright lied about what his advantage in the game could be. Tony had found this secret idol that nobody knew exactly what it did, and he claimed that his idol would allow him safety through the final 4. But in truth, it was only good through the final 5. Tony took advantage of the unknown and used it as a shield. as an insurance policy, to scare people off and not vote for him. Because the idol expired at the final 5, he was exposed at the final 4, but if voting his way was a wasted vote and the rest of the cast knew that, why bother casting a vote for him? And because of this strategy, instead we saw Spencer make a pitch to Tony to vote out Wu instead of the other way around, making Tony the swing vote for the round instead of a potential target. Defense really can win you a championship. Or 2.
And that's why I brought my bag of tricks with me today.
What's in the bag of tricks?
We'll probably find out tonight, Jeff, but it's something to make me feel a little bit more confident here tonight. 5 people left, I have to use it. And then my special one, I have another surprise for them when I use this idol, Jeff, that I won't disclose that either as of now. I knew if I didn't have protection, I wasn't going to the finals. I'm guaranteed final 3, so it's up to me pretty much. All I'm doing is bluffing and I'm lying my ass off. I've been telling them about this special idol now, just planting the seed in their head that I'm going to use it, that I've been bluffing, saying that I can use it for final 4.
In season 29, San Juan del Sur, Natalie feigned ignorance when she voted out Alec over Keith at the final 7. That's right, ignorance, it's a defense. It can absolutely be used as a defensive tactic. Alec was a closer number for John and Jacqueline, and because Natalie wanted to blindside John as soon as possible, she accidentally changed her vote to make it 4 votes Alec, 3 votes Keith, instead of the other way around, which was the original plan. Her alliance of John, Jacqueline, Missy, and Baylor were confused but chalked it up to a miscommunication, when in truth, Natalie was keeping her cards close to her chest, keeping the final outsider in the game as her pawn instead of John's. She was protecting a pawn on the board in Keith to set up a checkmate against John in the next round, relying on Keith voting with her at the final 6 to split the vote 2 to 2 to 2. Had Alec been in the game, that's not a guarantee, and then you have John in the final 5 with an idol in his pocket. But I think the distinction here it's important to understand is Natalie didn't go after Alec. She played for the future and defended a vote to keep the door open for a future blindside.
11th person voted out and the 5th member of our jury. Alec, need to bring me your torch.
Just the way Tribal went, I knew I had to pretend to mess up and accidentally vote out Alec instead of Keith and act my ass off to convince them that it was a mistake. John is on my hit list. He's been on my hit list since he sent Jeremy home, so it's been a long time coming. I need to make some moves soon.
It wouldn't be a video about defense if I didn't mention the off-spoken meat shield strategy notoriously implemented by Jeremy on season 31, Cambodia. Essentially, Jeremy went into the season recognizing he would be a big target. So instead of going after other big targets, he aligned with them. He surrounded himself with those big targets so he could blend in. This protection gave him a few bodies to put in front of him to buy him time, and as we saw, it worked out pretty well. We also then saw Sophie in season 40, Winners at War, reference this tactic as she aligned with Yule and called him her nerd shield. Basically the same thing as a meat shield, but instead others would target Yule ahead of Sophie because he came off as brainier than she did.
Steve is definitely digging his heels and he wants Joe out, but I need a shield. I need Joe around as long as possible. I do not want to be the biggest guy out here. Since day one, Steven has been trying to get Joe out, and I was reluctant because I'd lose out on Joe as a shield. Savage going home screws me. I had another man that nobody really likes that I knew that was a shield for me.
People talk about like having meat shields around. I feel like I have my own nerd shield in Yule. And like I will never be the smartest person on the tribe as long as I have Yule there, like, you know, talking about physics or whatever.
And that's it. Those are some of the greatest defensive plays, moves, and strategies in Survivor history. Be it idols, countering alliances big and small, bluffing, throwing challenges, feigning ignorance, and protecting your win condition. I think it's worth reiterating that Survivor is very much a social game, but it is also so much more. The tactics surrounding the social dynamics are what make and break the players. But regardless of all that, a huge thank you to my patrons for supporting me month in and month out. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, it's called Survivor, not Big Moves-iver, on your way out. And I will see you in the next one. Once I get frustrated because nobody is making the moves I want them to make.
I guess I'm hoping for a miracle at Tribal Council, ideally. I want to win. It's not fun to play with people who don't want to win.
But what does that mean? Because everybody wants to win.
Only one person is going to win this game, so everybody should be looking out for themselves. Play to win. Let's play. Let's play. That's all I'm saying. Nobody's fighting for their spot in the top, and this is frustrating for me. It's like, time to wake up. I'm asking you to fight for your spot in the game, and I don't think that's so big.
If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
You know what, Jeff? This is my favorite moment.